We're back in the graveyard. It is a nice day today, but it is a little bit windy, so apologies if you can hear a bit of wind in the background. So, as promised on the other video, today we're going to look at this grave. So it's one of the bigger graves. It's right in the centre of the graveyard, and it's got an Egyptian style obelisk on top of it, which is pretty cool. So the thing with this grave, what you'll see, has been a lot of weathering, and it's basically just worn away all the inscription. We've got a tiny little bit of writing here. We can see a T and an E on the end of the name there, and apart from that we can't really see anything. So it's a bit of a mystery grave, but we do have some clues, and yeah, let's get into it. So there's the grave, again right in the middle of the graveyard, and it's right next to the Coleman and the Chester grave we did before. So again, no inscription on this side, so we'll take a little walk around it. Again, this side very weathered, but it doesn't look like, you can see it's gone quite into the middle, it doesn't look like there's been any writing on there. Same on this side, again I can't really see any writing, but yeah, if there was any on there, unfortunately we can't see it now. So we move around and then we get our first name. So it says also of the named Richard Micklethwaite. He died in 1873, 55 years old. So he was born in about 1818. So because it says also, I'm guessing that this is his wife. So you can see here it says R.I. and then T.E. So I'm guessing this is the wife of Richard Micklethwaite. So yeah, who was Richard Micklethwaite? So I've been working all week on this guy's family tree and Richard Micklethwaite was born 1818 in Hatfield Woodhouse. He was a corn miller, and according to the census records, he had 6 men working for him and 1 boy, and he lived on King Street, and I believe it was number 145, which I'm not sure if that even exists anymore. I've had a look on Google Maps and I didn't see anything, so yeah, who knows where that is. This Richard, he was the son of Jonathan Micklethwaite. Jonathan was born in Whitley Bridge, and the Micklethwaite family themselves were actually from Hemsworth. So when you go back a few generations, that's where they all lived. They lived in Hemsworth, moved to Whitley Bridge, and then ended up in Thorne. So that is our man Richard, again a corn miller, and living on King Street. Now his wife was a woman called Mary Micklethwaite, so that is who I believe this inscription is for. So Mary Micklethwaite, her maiden name was Locke, and she was born in Devon of all places. So I've no idea how she ended up here and how they met, but her grandfather was a man called Peter Locke. Now Peter Locke, again from Devon, he found the seedling for the apple, which is known as the Peter Locke apple. So if you know anything about apples, they're a sweet, like dessert type apple, named after this lady's grandfather, Peter Locke. So yeah, that is who I believe is our missing person. So the worn inscription is his wife Mary. So she died, she was born about 1817, and she died in 1872, so 1 year before he died, she died, which makes sense. She was buried here and he was buried here 1 year later. So Richard's uncle, so his dad was called Jonathan Micklethwaite, his uncle was a man called Willoughby Micklethwaite, and he was a farmer. According to the census records, he was a farmer of 210 acres, and he lived in Thorne, but he ended up moving to Iowa. So he moved to Iowa. I think him and his wife had about 5 children. They all moved over to Iowa, and yeah, they became farmers in America. So that is this man's uncle moving over to Iowa. And I did manage to find a picture actually of this Willoughby Micklethwaite, so I will post the picture now. Now that's not the only part of his family that moved abroad. So this Richard and his wife Mary had a daughter. I believe they only had one child, and that was Mary Micklethwaite. She married a man who was born in Pocklington. He was called Simeon Templeman. And they ended up moving to Canada, of all places. And yeah, they became farmers in Canada. So it seems like farming, Richard was a corn miller. It seems like farming, that was the family business. That was what they were into. And yeah, again, he had an uncle in Iowa. And his daughter moved to Canada, where her and her husband lived until their death. I believe all the children, at least most of the children, went with them as well to Canada. So I'm not sure if any of the Templeman family is still around here. I think they may have all moved away. But yeah, that is our mystery grave. So Mary, again, her surname, her maiden name was Locke, Mary Locke, Mary Micklethwaite, died 1872. Now also Richard had a half brother who was called John, also possibly Jonathan as well, after his father. They had different mothers, but it seems like they were both charged with manslaughter. There was a group of people actually charged with manslaughter, and Richard was the only person in the group who was found not guilty. His brother John was found guilty, but was only given 1 month in jail. So I'm not sure of their involvement in this manslaughter. You know, among the group, the main person got 1 year in jail. John got 1 month, and Richard walked away not guilty. That's all the information we have on it, unfortunately. But yeah, getting done for manslaughter. But yeah, our man, not guilty. He's all right. So to finish off with, we're next to the grave of Richard Coleman, the Bradholme Farm Colemans, which we've talked about before. But when I looked up Richard Micklethwaite's death records, I found in his will, the executor of his will was a man named Robert John Coleman. So he had no children in the country to pass his estate to, because his daughter, his only daughter, had gone to Canada. So who is Robert John Coleman? Well, his grave is just here. Another one that I've seen before and walked past. So as you can see, he was born 1825, died 1886, and he was cousin to the Bradholme Farm Colemans. And a bit of research on him, he was actually a solicitor, so he would have been involved with wills and things like that. He also lived on King Street, so it's possible that they were friends. And yeah, when our guy Richard Micklethwaite died, it was his friend, solicitor, and it was a solicitor who actually became later an estate agent, an auctioneer. So yeah, I believe he left his estate for that man to sort out. So yeah, that is the Micklethwaite grave right here in St Nicholas Churchyard in Thorne. Hope you enjoyed that one. I enjoyed researching the family. Again, it's great to see how these families connect to each other, bringing the Colemans back in there, seeing what these people did. We're going to clean some graves up now. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. So please like, please subscribe, please leave a comment below. It just gets the videos out to more people, so more people can see it. Thanks very much. I'll see you next time.